The following is a presentation of the Controltrends podcasting network.
Hi, this is Eric Stromquist. Welcome to Control Talk Now, your smart buildings video casting podcast for the week ending April 14th, 2019. Where is the man, the myth, the legend? He won't be with us today. It's going to be kind of lonely without Kenny Smyers, but I've got two great guests. So, I've been told by my social media folks I need to engage the audience more, so I have a contest for you. We're going to play a little game called Where in the World is the Man, the Myth, the Legend, the One, the Only, Kenny Smyers? So what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you're watching the video cast, you're seeing this on YouTube. If you're not, please go to the YouTube channel. While you're there, subscribe if you haven't already. But in comments, I'd like for you to answer this question with one of the 6 possible answers. And the 3 first people that get it right will get a really swell prize. And people that know me know that I do really swell prizes. So again, you go to the YouTube channel, reach out in comments, and the question you are going to answer is, where in the world is Kenny Smyers? Kenny Smyers. Choice number 1, the GSA Cybersecurity Task Force has hired Kenny, and he's in an undisclosed location helping them with cybersecurity. Choice number 2, he's at a Ralph Lauren photo shoot in Napa Valley. Ralph Lauren is introducing their new men's line, summer line coming out, and they have asked Kenny to be one of the models. Choice number 3, he's consulting with a major controls manufacturer on a product relaunch in an undisclosed location. Number 4, he's writing an article for Esquire magazine on the Beatles' early days in Liverpool, and he's actually in Liverpool doing this. Number 5, he's doing all of the above, and those of you know Kenny know that he's capable of doing all of the above. Or number 6, he's doing none of the above. Okay, so again, reach out on the YouTube channel and let me know what you think in comments. First 3 correct answers get a really swell prize. Okay, so we've got a great show this week. We have Josh Felperin from Siemens, and Siemens is really on the move. They're doing some really, really incredible stuff with their product line, bringing it through 2-step distribution and working with their integrators. So we'll play that interview first. Kenny was actually with me when we had a chance to talk to Josh. We'll play that first, and then immediately afterwards, we're going to transition to a really prolific HVAC podcaster, a guy by the name of Bill Spohn. And Bill actually knows Kenny. He's from Pittsburgh. He has a company called TRuTech Tools. They really focus in measurement and tools. He's a brilliant guy, great podcaster. He has 2 podcasts. One of them is called the Building HVAC Sciences Podcast, and the other is called the RESTalk podcast. So we're going to really get into podcasting, how it can sort of affect your business, how to go about doing it. And for those of you listening to the show for a while know that part of what Kenny and I are up to is creating a Controltrends podcasting network. We'll help you get your podcast online and help promote it. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to talk with Josh Felperin. All right, Kenny Smyers, I am wearing the fedora, which basically means one thing. How about introducing our guest this week?
Eric, I'd love to. This gentleman is the Senior Sales Manager for Siemens Smart Infrastructure Building Products, and his name is Josh Felperin. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Welcome, Josh.
Hey, glad to be back. How are you guys doing this morning?
Good.
Josh, we're doing great, man. And, you know, one of the great things about this industry is, man, so many great people. And I think Kenny and I both had the pleasure of knowing you for quite some time. We've kind of got to watch your career sort of take off. And, man, first of all, we're really proud of you. And secondly, man, we are super, super proud of Siemens. So talk a bit about what you're doing now and some of the things that Siemens is up to, because it's not your father Siemens anymore, is it?
No, we're still, we're moving faster than ever. And, you know, things are great. So still, proudly managing the automation channel. We've got over 100 partners across the country that going to market with Siemens, and true partners. So yeah, things are great. I would say here in the last 12 to 18 months, we are on the innovation side, from acquisitions to our product portfolio and our roadmap, growing faster than ever, providing solutions that are really leapfrogging our competitors and providing great solutions to the end user.
Well, I'll tell you what, this the springboard right off of that, Josh. We are at Siemens Talon's partners. Both
we are too.
So we are keeping track of this, and I think, you know, to use an analogy, Siemens really moved the needle. And one of the cool things is they're really well poised to deal with all levels of the market. So let's start off with the first choice for a small to medium building solution. What's Siemens have to offer now that's different?
So we just recently rolled out the Zigo Control Point, which is an incredible solution for small to medium-sized buildings, and it's really making an impact right out of the gate. Nice thing about the Zigo Control Point, you know, you're able to. There's 3 different touchscreen options: 7, 10, and 15 inch. So whether you want to control a room or control a plant, there's something for everything, for every need. And you can even take in third-party backnet devices and give a user an interface that they've never had in a smaller, medium-sized building. They can come in, they can do their scheduling and alarming and trending right from the touch space. It's got great graphics embedded, FinStack. I know we've talked about it before, so great use of the J2 Innovations FinStack. There's also Haystack, Project Haystacks in there, so for tagging. I know that's, you know, you guys are very, very passionate about that, so we made sure to incorporate that into the design. And
this is fully web enabled and everything. In other words, full blown front end.
HTML5, yeah, so you can use it from any type of device.
Right.
Hang on, hold the phone, Vicky Vale, as Batman would say, because you just said a whole lot, Josh, and I want our community to really let this sort of soak in for a minute. Okay, so, I mean, you've been following Controltrends for a while. You know that we followed J2 Fin for a while, and they, you know, they make graphics and interface and analytics and all that super, super easy. So what you're telling me, or what I'm hearing is, with this Zigo Control Point, first of all, it's scalable, so I can go from So that means it's be very price competitive, and I'm not going to give numbers, but you know, we think it's very price competitive. We're a dealer too, so we can go from small, medium, large. It's scalable. You got that. It's for an integrator, he learns one system and he can take it and apply it across sort of any application he wants to. From an owner, the fact that you got J2 built in there is phenomenal. We just did a deep dive on Haystack tagging. And, you know, basically what that basically means is, you know, getting the data out's one trick, but then making the data usable. So the fact that you guys got Haystack tags enabled in this controller, I mean, is a huge, huge piece. Not everybody has that, right?
No, yeah. So not only on the price point of upfront on the hardware side, but on the execution side, we wanted to simplify the install for any user out there. Even I could probably install and program Zigo Control Point, and not at heart a sales guy first. But yeah, it's the user. It's very user friendly and very easy to get it going for any type of system.
Well, so listen, you know, and you know, Sisto and Ebert used to do the thumbs up or whatever. We're going to give you 5 fedoras on that one, okay? Because this is awesome.
Where's my fedora? Dang it! I just got.
Well, hey, listen, for our audience, real quick. If you've seen Josh before, he usually, you know, donning a fedora, which is why I brought mine in. So, you know, Josh is kind of sometimes known as Josh the Fedora Felperin. So, you know, Josh doesn't have his fedora, but I brought mine for this occasion. Kenny, I don't even think you have one. So
I don't. You and I went one time to go look for one, and I just couldn't find the right color and fit. So, yeah. But I'm still out there. I'm still looking for it. But Josh, to bump it up now. Okay, so you've got the light commercial building solution for some of those buildings that we know need help. In other words, Eric and I follow DOE, and we get these reports saying that 75 to 80% of the small buildings, 50,000 square feet and less, need help, need an automation, yeah. Nothing more than a thermostat. And some of them aren't even using night setback thermostats in this day and age, 2019. So this is truly a great solution for the smaller commercial, retail, malls, churches, schools, whatever. Let's bump it up. Yeah. Let's say you need something bigger to handle maybe 100 to 500 zones. What do we have in the Siemens Index?
Yeah. So the great thing that, you know, we've now got the full portfolio, and so bumping it up just one level, we've got what's called the Zigo Compact. So yeah, it's for 100 to 500 zones. It's just it's that sticking point in between a small, medium-sized building and a large campus with, you know, the Zigo CC, which we could talk about next if you'd like. But yeah, a compact comes in and it gives that user everything that they need cost-effective way to manage their building and keep on scaling. And the nice thing about the Zigo Compact is if you get to the max of 500 zones, no problem. You can easily bring it up to the Zigo CC, which stands for Command Center. And there with the Zigo CC, you're able to integrate all, not only just HVAC and lighting and shade control, but security and every other disciplines that the user requires for their building. So instead of having multiple front ends, they can have one master command center.
Well, one thing I noticed that was really stuck out for me was the pharma, the FDA compliance, because that's another thing that not many of the solution providers have that certification. So
yeah,
let's talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, CFR 21 compliance. You need to have that to go in any pharmaceutical facility. And so that was, we didn't have it right when we initially rolled out the Zigo CC, but by getting that compliance was a huge opportunity for our partners and our branches. Our branches are, very, very strong in the pharmaceutical industry, and that was definitely a need that they had. So instead of going for a way more expensive option, now they've got the Zigo CC to take care of those customers.
Well, Eric, did you know that that there is another level up beyond the Zigo Compact, and this is where you get into the very large applications, the vertical markets with the airports, universities, distributed environments. Talk for a minute about the total Siemens automation. You guys can provide the whole enchilada. So the Zigo Command Center, that's a global product too, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And the Zigo is our global platform that we're utilizing now. So every product that's coming out of Zug, Switzerland, and out of Buffalo Grove, Illinois, our two main factories are branded with the Zigo. So the Zigo CC it's like I was saying, you can integrate other disciplines into it, not just HVAC, which gives the user a cost-effective solution to be able to bring everything in and ease their user interface and be able to do more for less, essentially.
Yeah, and if you got the Haystack Tags there again, we had John Petty, Mark Peacock on last week's show talking about Haystack tagging and how that just really makes it easier for your integrators to bring all those systems together and get the data out and connect the systems, and it's also more cost effective. So again, kudos to you guys for very, very well thought out product.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And while you're talking about developers, one thing that Siemens we're doing now is it's called an application and integration center. So we're able to allow not only Siemens personnel to develop apps and to help the users and develop opportunities for them to bring them in, but also anybody out there can go in and develop their own apps to create more cost-effective solutions for their building space. There was a great example I heard last week in Portland, Oregon, during a great symposium. We had a bunch of product managers presenting to some highly influential people out in Oregon. But this application integration center, there was a stadium that needed to bring in 50 exhaust fans, and the cost was pretty high. It was about $50,000, and that was way out of the customer's wheelhouse for a simple. They just need to bring in 50 remote exhaust fans, and the developer was able to go in. We opened up to their development team, and they utilized a RIB relay, the Wi-Fi, the new
nice
Wi-Fi relay, and they were significantly saved over 80% to get that project done for the customer. So we lost.
It's amazing, man.
We lost a few bucks, but the customer saved a few bucks. So earned the customer for life there.
Well, it's all about the end user, and I think that's really how one of the big trends and one of the shifts we've seen is that it's kind of flopped around. Where once upon a time it came down channel, major manufacturers told you this is what the products are, and this is how you're going to use them, and that's kind of reversed out now through major events, industry events like Realcomm, IBCon, whatever. The users' opinions and the users' influence have taken first, center stage and are driving some of the applications because it's all about the business of the end user, making them more efficient. Yeah. Making them happier, creating a more friendlier environment, more worker friendly, productive center. So it sounds like Siemens got a handle on it. What's the next bump up? So we got to go into. So once you have everything together, you've got the small, medium, large. You've got the Haystack tagging. So what's possible? What's next up? The smart infrastructure. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, so smart infrastructure, this is week one. April 1st, we went to smart infrastructure, so a complete new alignment, just allowing us to be more adaptable to the evolution of technology changes and be more focused to help our customers and provide all the tools and the support and the product that they need to be successful. It's been a long time since we'd restructured, and this one makes perfect sense. So we're excited. Our division now went from CPS, Control Products and Systems Division, to Building Products. So not only I think you're going to start to see a lot more cross-selling going on. Siemens, as we all know, we have a ton of different products and options, and internally we always we had so many internal hurdles to overcome to be able to offer solutions, whether it's a charging station for a project or some motors and starters, just like pulling teeth. And, you can only try so many things so many times before you give up. But Ruth Brodsky is based there in Atlanta, and she is the VP of Building Products. And from what I've heard from her, I mean, her main goal right away is just going to be able to, how can we better support our customers, all of our customers, with all of our products and providing more solutions to the marketplace. So you're going to see a lot quicker, leaner, meaner Siemens here moving forward.
Well, I'm leaner, meaner. Heck, I was going to tell Eric, finally we have the birth of the softer, smarter side of Siemens. Right. Because I think Siemens has taken extraordinary measures to make them the treasure chest of the product portfolio more available. It used to be Siemens was located high on a mountaintop, and it was a branch kind of only proposal. And now it seems to be down on the ground level. You've got a fabulous distribution network, so you can handle all the commercial components. But I think Siemens is really and truly engaged now through their channel partners in a more a nicer way, just a friendlier way, a younger way, a different way. So I think, and that's changing a lot of people's attitudes and acceptance. There's very few headwinds now because
they're much easier to do business with.
Exactly.
It sounds like your smart infrastructure is an internal thing where you guys are restructuring to make it easier for customers to consume your incredible products and services.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very cool. Well, listen, talking about your partner program, talk about some of your partners. I mean, obviously, Kenny and I, are probably your best
favorites. Yeah,
two of your favorites. But talk about some of your partners, and because I know one of the things that sort of really impressed me and was really glad is you guys have a pretty high bar to represent your product. I think you guys are very protective of your brand, rightfully so. And as a consequence, I think you've got some really good partners. But speak about that if you would.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we are very selective with who we partner with. We're proud of who we partner with. There's a long process to go through to vetting process to make sure they're going to be going to market, leading with Siemens, meeting our expectations, and most importantly, us meeting their expectations. So it's a two-way street, and I think that's what's so powerful. My sales guys and operations team are right there with our partners, going to market, making things happen, getting the job locked up, and then helping to execute. So we're not just coming in and saying, "Hey, here's your quota. We'll see you next year." And we're really got a true partnership, and we've got so many different so many tools in the toolbox that it's hard to know about all the tools. But the nice thing is when they do know all the tools, it makes them more competitive and makes their lives a lot easier. So not only do they have a great product portfolio and great support team, they're really proud to be going to market waving that Siemens flag day in and day out. So it's been incredible. We had a great summit in February, as Ken, you guys know, and it was the best one yet. Just introducing some of the acquisitions we've talked about, J2 and Comfy and Enlighted, and seeing the new product portfolio. And we've got a great product management team right now. And one of a very neat part about our channel, our division is our partners have direct access to some of the smartest people in our industry, our product managers. So it's just it's a complete team environment. It's not one-sided, and it's been very, very successful. We're growing. This is the best our channel's ever done, and I don't see any slowdown in sight.
Well, Josh, the Siemens Talon Partner Summit down in New Orleans was fabulous, and you're right. And then you did an excellent job, by the way, as an MC. They put a lot of pressure on you to come up with a lot of quick, impromptu feeds that you got to address a couple hundred people with, and you did a great job.
Appreciate it.
There's one particular shout out that we think you want to talk about, that in addition to great partnerships, great leaderships, great integrators, and people that have just carried the banner for many, many years. Is there one particular person we want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, definitely. So LinkedIn, as we all know, over the last 12 to 18 months, it's really taken, it's becoming more than just a recruiting site. There's a lot of information being shared. A lot of people are branding themselves and their company. And one gentleman in particular, a close friend of mine, been a Siemens partner for a long, long time, John Baker, who's president of Air Conditioning Solutions out of Pasadena, California. I like to call him the gentle giant, but just the last couple of weeks, he's really started to leverage LinkedIn's, the power of LinkedIn to brand him and his company. And they are just, innovation adaptive. They're adopting everything that they possibly can to make their teams more competitive in the marketplace and provide solutions to their customers. And every year I go out, he's got a golf tournament that is to raise money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and they're in the LA chapter, and they've raised well over $50,000 the last 5 years. This will be the 6th year in a row that they're doing the fundraising event. But when this guy gets on the microphone, you got a couple hundred ladies and gentlemen sitting around the putting green. Everyone's talking, got conversations going. The moment he gets on that microphone, everyone stops what they're doing and they listen to him. And he's got so many great customers. And I would say they're not just customers to him; they're friends and their family. And but yeah, it's incredible. They they raised over $20,000 just last year as their best fundraising event ever. And they were able to provide 2 wishes to terminally ill children and just give back. And it's one of the, I definitely participate in a lot of fundraising events every year. Every one of those events have great causes, but there's just something so powerful about this one. And, but definitely if we could share the link, John would appreciate it.
Well, listen, Ken, listen, Josh, we would love to share the link. I have never, and I don't think Kenny has either, had the opportunity to meet John Baker, but
I've known John for about 10, 12 years now.
Okay. But if you do know John, and since you know him too, Kenny, then we'd love to offer an invitation for him to come on the show. We'd like to hear about his business and what he's doing, but more than that, we'd love to hear about his Make-A-Wish Foundation. Let's see if we can get the Controltrends community to help out some too. We got some golfers in that community. Well,
speaking of golf, I want to say one thing here before Josh tries to slide away. Look at that trophy chest behind him and all those awards he's won. Josh is a scratch golfer, and if you have to go to a scramble and you're looking for somebody to lead your foursome, Josh played. We played in Pittsburgh here recently, and he hits from the blue tees, and we all hit from the white tees, and he outdrove us every damn hole. It was getting kind of boring. I thought, I got to have him on my fire team when I go play golf, because then I feel good that we'll have a good first shot, second shot, third shot, and probably a good putt. But
yeah, well, listen, speaking of scratch golfers, I kind of want to cycle back around, just something you said a few minutes ago about sort of your portfolio of products and how you're putting things together, because it seems like there is definitely a methodology to this where you guys are just completely going to offer a customer, you're breaking the silos down. I mean, typically, you put the BAS system, and then somebody have a lighting system, somebody helps something else. It's like you guys are very methodically and thoughtfully putting together a Siemens offering that's going to just take the silos down and address all the users and integrators' needs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I don't know if you're referring to total room automation solution. I mean, that's just one step in doing that. And also with making sure that we've got some cloud offerings that are coming out, and then other products in the roadmap and solutions that are going to continue to take the silos down and provide the right solutions for pretty much every application.
Go ahead, Kenny.
No, you're right. And all the way down to a commercial, light commercial, all the way down to residential, that RDS 120 thermostat. I just happened to had a sample and tried it out, and it's a marvelous thermostat. I mean, I think it's bumped ahead of Nest, Ecobee, Lyric. I think the RDS 120 now is going to be enormously successful, but it has so much power. It's so potent, and yet it's designed for residential applications. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, residential, but I mean, it is more for the professional environment. I've got one in my house too. I needed to try it out and to make sure that it worked. And the confidence I have on it is my wife likes it, and that didn't make me take it off the wall. So
see, there you go.
It's backed by Felperin, so it's definitely a winner. But
there you go.
We've also got the BACnet variant coming out here shortly. So it is going to be, you can use it in residential applications, and it's got 6 built-in inputs for 6 different types of inputs that are automatically coming into the RDS 120. But the new BACnet one is going to really take us into a whole different direction.
In fact, it's the first thermostat that has 6 sensors on board, so it's pretty impressive. We'll go into RDS 120 maybe in another episode, but
we need to get Bill Vargo on. He's the product manager, very illustrative type personality, so he'll fit right in with you guys. And
nice.
I know he'll like to talk about the RDS 120. He's a great guy.
Well, listen, I'm not done with my silo analogy, Kenny. So you sort of got me off track, but I wrote it down because I'm coming back to it. So, we're breaking down the silos between the different parts of what goes into a building, a smart building. But you guys also are breaking down the barriers between what it is a vendor and a partner, because you guys are truly becoming partners. We talked a bit about that with sort of how you guys roll with, you really are partners. It's about how we're going to be better business people together and create better value. But I also want to say that you guys are also, I think, breaking down the walls to marketing. I mean, you've got some marvelous marketing people, and we would comment a bit about Mickey Manis and sort of what she's up to. Would love to give her a shout out, and because I like marketing people. I mean, Kenny's like the Don Draper of our industry, right, from Mad Men.
Oh, dear.
And I'm more like Roger, but go ahead.
Yeah, Mickey's been a great add to our team, and she's a bulldog. She makes things happen, and it's a breath of fresh air to have her on the team and making good things happen. She's got an ebook that's coming out here shortly that she put together on the smart buildings industry, and it's about 16 pages. I got to take a look at it, and once it's finally approved and ready for prime time, we'll make sure we share it with the Controltrends community. They'll really get a lot out of it.
Awesome. We'd love to do that, because I think one of the big things, and we've talked about this on the show a bit, is that, you've got to have people that go out and be, and find customers and new relationships, but you also have to easily be found. And I think, Josh, you would probably appreciate the fact that having an outside salesperson go out and try to cold call and find new business is a very expensive proposition. You have to have great sales engineers like you guys do. So when somebody does have a problem or need you, you can go out and take care of the need. But I think what Mickey brings to Siemens and to the Siemens partners is the ability to, okay, this is how you can easily be found, right? So you guys are taking that to a whole new level too. So kudos to Mickey and the rest of the marketing team. Thank you, Mickey, for everything you do. And yeah, we've got Leanne Whalen that just came on the FDO side, our field device side. So yeah, we're here to help the customers and whatever their needs might be.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, Josh. Any final words? I think you got a tight schedule, and you're bouncing out the door here.
Yeah, busy as always with two little ones, but yeah, no, as always, really appreciate the time here, guys, and really love what you guys do. My team loves what you guys do. They're watching you guys, and getting a lot out of these the shows. So thanks to Controltrends for having me on, and really look forward to talking to you both here soon, and hope you enjoy the rest of the day.
Well, we are, and next time you got to bring the fedora, Josh. That's part of your brand. So
the tuxedo was ready.
The tuxedo was awesome too, man.
I owe you one.
You're kind of like the young Frank Sinatra of our industry, or maybe Dean Martin. If anybody watched the Rat Pack, I mean, those were the coolest guys coming. With your dad and my dad, their generation, maybe your grandfather and my dad, but. But I keep forgetting you're a young guy because you're so good at what you do, brother. So listen, websites, call to action. Where do we want these folks to go? Do you just want to buy their Siemens product from me and Kenny, or do you want to send them to a Siemens website?
No, contact your local Siemens reseller or contractor to help you with any products. We'll make sure to share some content. You can find it on controltrends.org.
Absolutely. And if you don't know who your local Siemens dealer is, you can just always call me and Kenny. We'll tell you. All right, Josh, man, thanks so much, brother. Appreciate you. Josh Felperin from Siemens, man, he is a star on the rise, as Siemens is.
Have a good day, guys.
My guest this week is Bill Spohn, and Bill's got a great podcast called HVAC, or Building Science HVAC podcast, correct?
Yeah, it's Building HVAC Science, actually. And the reason why I picked that is that's sort of been the crossroads of my career for a long time. And I'm going to stop shaking my table. I'm Italian, so I got to move my hands, and they're bouncing off the table. So.
Yeah, that's okay, buddy. That's okay.
So Building HVAC Science. So it's sort of the crossroads of my career between selling tools and equipment, test instruments for people that are doing building science to make buildings more comfortable, affordable, durable, and then the HVAC systems to condition that space, to create what I call the expensive air that you want to try to contain in your ductwork, deliver it to the right place, and also contain in your envelope, while also providing ventilation air. So it's this really interesting thing that's a very people-oriented business.
Well, just getting to know you, and I had the pleasure of being on your podcast, so thank you so much. And but I want to go way back to when Ken Smyers was a little boy in Pittsburgh, and you were a little boy in Pittsburgh. And so first of all, let's establish the whole Smyers Spohn relationship here, and then I want to hear how you got in the business and sort of your evolution through the different channels.
Sure. So I'll talk about the Smyers thing first. I didn't move to Pittsburgh until 1986. So I'm a relative newcomer here, but I was very quickly injected with black and gold in my veins. So I'm a Steelers, Pirates, and Penguins fan. But my wife Marilyn went to grade school with Ken's sister, and I think her name is Vicky.
Nice.
So they went to a Catholic grade school in an area called Hampton Park, Ellison Park, Hampton Township. I think they went to the same church she did, so that was the connection there. And then years later, sort of fast forwarding my career, and I was working for Bacharach in Pittsburgh, which was one of my first jobs in the area. I was going to a local, I think it was ACA. The local ACA group had a trade show, and one of my good friends from Bacharach knew for years the Smyers business, the Smyers company, the whole family, and I got to meet everyone. And then that's how we developed that connection. Yeah. So that probably goes back to late 80s, early 90s.
What a great group of people, though. I've had the pleasure of knowing. Obviously, Kenny and I do a lot of work together, but I know Tommy, his brother, Dave, Jesse, just a great family. And of course, in Pittsburgh, man, I mean, they're half the population, right?
Right. That's absolutely right. So sort of going back in my career,
Yeah.
I'll take you back to where sort of where I trace things back. I used to work at a library when I was 15, 16, 17 years old in high school. And on break time, I always was attracted to reading popular science magazines. So there were plenty of them at the library. And I used to pour through these magazines, nice little short articles that gave you this techie information that went from science into practicality and just expanded my thinking. And at that point, I thought, I'd like to be an editor for popular science magazines. I'd like to write these articles. And actually, I'm doing that today. I wrote an article for RCS Journal on airflow testing, system airflow testing that I submitted on Monday, just a couple days ago.
Nice.
So I'm there. I've arrived at that childhood dream of taking sort of technically dense concepts and repurposing them, editing them, and then delivering them to audiences. So, we're doing it here today. We'll be talking a little bit tech here today. I do a lot at conferences and try to do that through my website, videos, webinars, and also work with other people doing it. There's just so much good stuff out there that I just want to communicate it.
Well, and I got to tell you, your website's just amazing. So tell me about the TruTools business real quick and how to get there, because that's where so much of that content is. And just, I will say this before you answer that question, that to understand something is one thing. To be able to understand it and then explain it where other people can understand it, now that is an art.
Well, thank you. I think I'll say I was blessed with a gift for that, but I also I worked on it. And actually, my hack, as they say in popular terms, my life hack for being able to, I think, teach better is to do a lot of explaining. You get better at it when you explain it. Especially in like yourself and a lot of people, just you're a person of integrity. You want to make sure what you're communicating is correct.
Yes.
And it sort of forces you to delve deep or to admit what you don't know, and then to go back and research and reference it. Like I'll give a presentation like I did last week at the National Home Performance Conference, and there are probably 125, 130 people in the room. And actually my son, who's joined the business, he was sitting there taking notes for me. I said, take any notes where I say, hey, take a note where I got something wrong. I had a missing fact, or I wanted to change something or rearrange something. So it's this personal continuous improvement, which I think is a way of life for a lot of people. Like yourself.
Kaizen, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So going back, so from the library days to going to college in mechanical engineering, and then I went to work for Eastman Kodak for a while.
Wow. No, hang on. Well, were you like in engineering, or were you working on the
It was. So I grew up in a small town called Rome, New York, and I went to college in Rochester, and then got the job with Kodak in Rochester. And I was actually working on high-speed copier duplicators.
Oh, wow.
And I started my career as a quality control engineer, which I think was it shaped me because I got to work with design engineers, research people, manufacturing engineers, production, test teams, the customer service agents that had to fix the stuff in the field.
Yeah.
It was just this really great array of sort of like the complete picture of the manufacturing environment, which was really shaping for me.
Well, I got to tell you something. Kodak has a place near and dear in my heart. I am a photographer, but I shoot film. And obviously I shoot a lot of Kodak film because they make really good film still.
And then from Kodak, I came to Pittsburgh area. I worked for an instrumentation company called Fisher Scientific.
Yep.
And that's where I got bitten by the measurement bug, I'll say. And shortly after that, got my job with Bacharach, where I stayed for 10 years and worked in product development.
I think that's where we met the first time.
Yeah.
When you're
I came down, some regional manager at Bacharach brought me down to Atlanta.
Jim Burke, I believe it was.
That is exactly it. He's still my buddy. He's still back at Bacharach too. So, so I got to work at Bacharach and do a lot of product development. And that's where I got involved with HVAC immediately, and also home performance about the same time. So this trade show I went to last week, building performance, building science, That was, I think, the 29th or 30th time I've been to that show. And it's about the same number of times I've been to the HR Expo.
Nice.
So I've been supporting sort of these two pillars of my life in building science and HVAC through communication with people. And I hate to travel, but I love seeing people. So
yeah.
So things like this, like doing a video podcast and doing podcasting just sort of helps me feed that need to communicate without having to haul my body, parts of my body around the country. So.
Well, and I think the other thing too is most people, I don't know about you, but I'm an avid podcast listener too. I mean, I love to consume. That's why one of my favorite ways to consume the content, because it's there whenever you want to do it. You can be riding in the car, you can be working out or whatever. So I think it's a great way to communicate. Well, listen, I got questions. So you got to hold the phone over there. You got questions. So I want to get back to the measurement thing. And is that sort of how your company came about with the tools?
Sure. So after Bacharach, I worked for a short period of time for Superior Valve and then went to work for Testo for 10 years. Yeah. And during my time at Testo, I want to say around 2005, perhaps 2004, there was a local VOTEC teacher by the name of Jim Bergman who started using some Testo products and it opened his eyes. He could prove. It used to be like he would do something on the board in the classroom and he would do it in the lab and there would be differing results. And so he always used to just say, well, that's the way it was. Then he found some good Testo test instruments. He was able to prove things that he was doing between the classroom and the lab, and it opened his eyes. And he just got bit by this bug that's consumed his life ever since. He was so intent upon learning about these things that they actually assigned me to him to work with them. And then later he came to work for Testo. And then during that time, his dad retired and was looking for a side hobby and started this business called TRuTech Tools. So his dad and I, his dad's passed now, but his dad, Jim, also was just looking for some ideas. And they had certain things they were really good at. There was the education, the communication, the hands-on knowledge of the products. And then we just started this thing. It got it rolling in 2007. And then I joined full-time in 2009 and just continued to level up, to build it slowly and gradually, and I would say successfully.
Well, I got to tell you, for our community out there, you got to check this website, TRuTechtools.com, correct?
Correct. Yep, that's it.
And what I love about what you guys did is you really focus on the measurement and education. And and I love the way you got the different kits, like if you're like an HVAC starter kit with the tools you need. And obviously you guys got the knowledge about it, because I think measurement's one of those things that, it's like you can say tomato, I can say tomato. They mean completely different things. Like accuracy, for example, it's 1% accuracy. Well, what does that mean, right? Is it 1% of the scale? Is it repeatable, or is it just accurate, or whatever? And so I think that's one of those areas where some specs can be truth in its best light, right? So,
and I think there's also, and what we really focus on, and this is, we were sort of doing it already, and then there's this great YouTube video by Siemens Sr.
Yes.
Okay, and he talks about it's actually about like leadership, company leadership, but he talks about you start with the why, then you move to the how, then you move to the what. And a lot of people, I'd say in sales, move immediately to the what.
Yeah.
Lingo very shortly on the why, the how, but never talk about the why. And that's what we try to coach our team at TRuTech to do, is to ask, okay, why are you making this measurement? Because then you might actually find out that your necessary accuracy or repeatability isn't that high, depending upon what you want to do. So we never try to oversell anybody, but understand why you want to make this measurement. Then we'll look at how, what's your process? Do you have some good technique? And maybe there's, and when I do my airflow trainings, I talk a lot about human-involved measurements. Things you usually pay less for a human-involved measurement, but that means your human doing the test has to have repeatability, has to understand what they're doing, has to make sure things, sensors are pointing in the right direction, even for airflow testing. So sometimes you can buy more expensive equipment, but the machine is doing it for you. So it takes the human element out of it.
Yeah.
So that's, you're absolutely right. We do try to focus on that, the why, the how, and then the what.
So, a lot of our community out there are HVAC techs as well as, building facilities managers and stuff like that. What have you had to give them, just say one or two, maybe even three things, biggest misconceptions about, they're buying, rephrase it. What questions should they ask if they're buying any sort of test instrument that they're going to be measuring stuff with? I mean, obviously you hit on one is why are you using it, which that would determine. But I mean, so you and I just mentioned accuracy, repeatability. What do those mean, or what should those mean if I'm buying an instrument, and what else should I be concerned with?
Yeah, you should be concerned with the how. Do you understand the process? Are you going to spend sufficient amount of time learning how to use the product, and are you going to not use rules of thumb? Only when you can. Let's say it a different way. It's more about understand where this technique came from. And this goes back to something Elon Musk does a lot. It's called first principles. Really understand what you're building upon.
Yeah.
Don't just automatically take things at face value. And I know that's difficult sometimes because time pressure is on everybody's mind. Just trying to get the job done. The boss wants you to get it done. And we hear this a lot from our customers, and especially in Facebook. A lot of them are just really vocal about things, about their situation in Facebook. It's like, I really want to use like this upgraded, larger bore vacuum hoses to do evacuation because I've seen the videos. I believe the science. I know what's going on, but they just can't understand it. They won't buy into it. So sometimes you just have to, you have to understand where the knowledge is coming from. And right now we have a lot of great ability, and a lot of people like yourself are doing blogs, vlogs like this, podcasts, so that you can consume the content in smaller bites that are more relevant, more timely, and then also engage people that have been doing this for a while, so they communicate more naturally. It isn't a sales pitch. I mean, we're not doing a sales pitch here. I mean, it might sound like it to some people. We're not doing a sales pitch. We're just talking. We're just a couple of instrumentation nerds talking, right?
Right. Well, no, and that's one thing I love about the podcasting too. Is like I typically tell people, it says you don't want to be like we're two guys in a bar in Pittsburgh having a conversation about the Steelers, and somebody that likes the Steelers is over listening and hearing the conversation. Bill, are you seeing any trends in sensors and measurement that are newer or emerging that you haven't seen in the past?
Sure, absolutely. There's a lot of tools are using Bluetooth to communicate, and some of them actually have stripped down the product to what I call a radio sensor. It's basically a sensor, batteries, and it broadcasts the reading from the sensor. Then it gets picked up by an app, and the app can condition that readout, that measurement. And there's some really interesting things done actually. So sort of going back into TRuTech, my business partner at the outset, Jim Bergman, left the company in 2014, worked for iManifold for a while, and now he has his own company called MeasureQuick. And what he's doing with MeasureQuick is very interesting in terms of taking those Bluetooth tools that are out there and bringing them into his measurement and diagnosis playground. And then you can start to combine different measurements, and you can look at, you can even get EER in the field from an air conditioning system using a Bluetooth voltmeter that has power factor built into it, can actually measure watts, can measure voltage, and take all the readings in, and then compare them to the humidity readings to look at the change in enthalpy of the equipment. And I'm talking all these terms for people that might not be familiar. They might think like, you're talking like $2,000, $3,000 of controls equipment, plus a system, plus a computer. Nope. You're talking about like $400, $500 tops. Things are really getting amazing out there.
Well, and I think, the whole Internet of Things, I mean, it's the sensors is where it's at. I mean, there's so much being put into sensor technology. And I know, on our podcast, we've talked to, mathematicians, they're starting to use artificial intelligence because in our business, typically, you'd have to write rules, if this, then that type thing. And, this guy's saying, hey, look, we got self-learning algorithms. You just give us the sensor data. We'll figure the correlations out. So I don't think it's far-fetched at all. I think what you're basically saying is the technician in the field now can have very high level of analytics and diagnostics that, 10 years ago would have been a couple of $1,000s if you could have gotten it. So
absolutely. And what's great is there's competition. There's competition amongst manufacturers, sensor manufacturers, product manufacturers, and because it's so easily, you can sort of easily see when someone has, has a win with the product that they're using, that they communicate that very verbally. There's a lot of YouTube channels where people are doing reviews, a lot of blog posts. I mean, some people are doing live streams in the HVAC world, HVAC Shop Talk, for instance, the HVAC School Group. You can find out so much information so quickly. Manufacturers have to stay frosty. They have to make sure they're working well. The other aspect too is they're doing a lot of beta testing. Is what I'm seeing. Yeah. They're finding groups of people through social media who are interested and will give you direct and immediate feedback, and that's making better products for all of us. So I think social media is really enhancing the world, whether you know it or not. Social media is enhancing the world of the work you do.
No, agreed. And I think the thing that, we're a distributor, you're a distributor, obviously, and I think the thing that's kind of disruptive a little bit, and I'm going to make a plug for distribution because I know what it takes to have, good tech people that can provide support. And I know you guys do a fantastic job with the tech support.
Thank you.
And, you can't get that on Amazon, and it's like for me personally, I've got 2 small kids. I'll go out of the way to go to a Barnes and Noble and try to support them because I can take my kids to Barnes and Noble and they can read books or whatever. So, again, to our community out there, whenever possible, buy your toilet paper and your light bulbs on Amazon. But man, when it comes to your measurement stuff, go to TRuTech, and your controls, go to someplace like Stromquist, because again, we talk about, knowledge. I mean, knowledge comes at a cost. And what does that save you when you're able to have somebody save you time and money by knowing what they're talking about? Like you say, you got the conversations you're having about why are you doing this can save you untold amount of money when it comes to getting your instrumentation.
And when I get out and I do these trade shows and conferences and presentations, a lot of time I'm paying to put the booth there. I'm paying to travel there, and I do the presentation for free. I sometimes say to the audience, I said, if you like me back, you like what I do, buy some stuff from me, because that's what funds my my addiction to get out and train and teach.
No, absolutely.
That's what Carter says.
So, Bill, obviously you got the great business going. You've worked with some great companies. Bacharach, Testo just blows me. And the first time I saw Testo stuff, I just went, oh my gosh. I went to a trade show and I saw it and went, we got to get this product line. It is just great stuff. Are there any other, product lines that you guys have that just sort of blow you away, like the Testo type thing that you go, yeah, this is cool stuff?
I think right now Fieldpiece is doing that. That they started out as a line, I want to say back in the mid 90s, with some very basic stick multimeters. Mm-hmm. They've grown and developed, and they're doing some really cool things. They're going to be a really big product line with us and in the market, with their recovery machines, their vacuum pumps, and now they just introduced some new digital manifolds that are really sweet. And they're listening to feedback, listening to a lot of feedback, and I think that's where I give credit to companies that do engage with their customer base and engage on a sincere basis to hear what they're saying, to involve beta testing, and really make a better product that fits the end user.
Very cool. All right. So you got the business rocking and rolling. You're a prolific podcaster. You got 2 podcasts, I think, at least 2 that I found. Yeah. So talk to me about how you got into the podcasting and
sure.
What podcasts are about.
So back in the fall of 2016, some guy named Brian Orr approached me, and he had started doing some podcasts for HVAC. He'd been doing podcasts for like 8 or 10 years before that, just all different topics. He loves the spoken word, and he was really into the audio aspect and really honed his talent. And then he sort of switched over into HVAC, and he pitched me on getting TRuTech involved with that. And I was like, I don't know. And then later I met him at AHR that next year at the AHR Expo in early 17. And I'm like, once I had a conversation like 30 minutes into, I'm like, dude, this guy's for real. So we got involved with them back then, in being sort of a connected sponsor, trade ally with them through his HVACR school and HVAC podcast, HVACR school podcast. And then later on in the summertime, he said, I want to start a network. And so he pulled together 3-4 people, and we got involved, and we made the Blue Collar Roots Network. So you can find it at bluecollarroots.com. There's, I believe, 4 different shows now. So there's Brian's show. There's Tool Pros podcast with Billy Noth and Brent Ridley. There's Service Business Mastery with Tersh Blissett, who's a contractor out of Atlanta. So
I got to meet him. Yeah,
actually Savannah. Sorry, Savannah.
Okay,
yeah.
I got you.
So so Tersh, and then myself and Brian's podcast. So that's how I got started. He provides some coaching, some equipment recommendations, and it's just like, I've never done this before, but it's sort of like, people can see us, so we're not young bucks here.
Yeah.
We're beyond our 5th decade on Earth. I'll just say that.
We have faces made for podcasts.
So it's something new. It's something different. It's something that'll expand your mind and keep you thinking young and fresh. So I decided, I'm going to do it. It's not going to be easy, but I'm going to do it. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a new sport or hobby for me. So I started into it, and originally it was like, well, what topics do I talk about? And I just decided I've got this 30-year career where I've met all kinds of interesting people, and all these different thoughts flow through my head. So now it's just, I reach out to somebody and say, hey, would you like to talk about this? Would you like to talk about that? And just sort of, put bits of my personality into play with other individuals, hoping to enrich the way people look at things. And I don't have like tremendous following, but for the people that do care to communicate, they like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So it encouraged me to do more.
No, you got to check your podcast. It's a great podcast. I really, really enjoy it. And we'll definitely put links in the show notes to your podcast as well as to True Tools. But, dude, I love podcasting too, because for me, it's kind of like, I know a podcast has gone well if, we come in and we'll sort of talk about this, but then if the conversation evolves to something that neither one of us expected, we both learn something. That's magic. That is absolute magic. So that part's really, really cool. Listen, man, I've got a blue collar someplace. I might need to talk to Brian Orr about being part of the blue collar network here, man. It sounds good to me. So,
well, he's got a lot of swag, a lot of interesting swag. Two things I think are really cool is he found a font that looks like the NASA font, the NASA logo.
Wow.
And he made ball caps and shirts that have HVAC that looks like the NASA logo.
How cool is that?
The whole idea, the spin on it is it's not rocket science, but it is science.
Yeah,
so,
nice.
There's this whole underlying current there.
Nice.
The other thing is beer can cold t-shirts. It's just a graphic, an illustration that shows beer can cold, and it's an inside joke. And when you go, wearing it out in public, very few people understand it, but those that do, they're part of the brotherhood. And
they're part of the club. There you go. I love it. Well, what advice would you give for people? Because I'm really encouraging people, our audience. I think everybody should have a podcast. I mean, I think every vendor should have one. I think it's such a great way to connect with your community. What advice would you give somebody who's maybe on the bubble thinking about doing a podcast? I mean, what would you tell them?
My sort of highlights would be audio quality. It can't be annoying to listen to.
Yeah.
And I'll have guests on, and if I hear the audio quality change or it's not quite right, I'll be a stickler about it, because I think it produced, that's, if you're producing an audio product, that's got to be really good, more than decent, but good audio quality. So that's one thing I'm a stickler on. The other thing I would say is come up with a topic and stick to the topic. So I always put out there, what's the topic sentence? And I write that down on a piece of paper in front of me when I'm talking to my guests, and I want to keep coming back, and I want to respect the audience, and I don't want it to be any clickbait in the titles.
Right.
A little clickbaity, but you want to return to the topic. And sometimes I don't write the topic sentence till after the podcast has been done. So it's not like I'm trying to force something, but I do take notes as I go along, as I did when you were on my podcast.
Yeah.
And I'll write the show notes from that, and I do sort of want to honor, respect the person's taking their time with me. So give credit to the business or whatever thing's going to draw people back to them. So honor your guest, honor your audience too. And I think, and part of that is comes through the audio quality, sticking to the topic, and don't make it a set period of time. I never make mine a set period of time. Yeah. It's sort of when the conversation exhausts itself. Not exhausting conversation.
Right. No, but I mean, when you've done enough of them, you just sort of know, because each one's different, and each one takes on has its own sort of rhythm, and if you try to force it, it just doesn't work. I like that. It's funny because I was talking to you. Is I get so many people that come on, and I tell them get the headset. I mean, $39. I've got an Amazon link. You can go get one. And we know the quality is good, and they don't. Like I said, the video is forgiving. I mean, we do the video cast and the podcast when the audio is off, because I edit mine, and it's just there's just nothing you can do with it. I'll spend hours trying to EQ them and get them right, and you can't get them right. Spend the $39. Another thing I tell to people too, Bill, and I wonder if you think this is true, and I say, look, the hardest thing is getting started. You just got to do your first 2 or 3. Just I'm going to do 2 or 3. Don't worry about making them good, because nobody's going to listen to them anyway. Right. I mean, your first couple, they won't come back to, but you just got to go through that period, and you got to get it done.
You got to break the ice with yourself. And what my first one, if I'm remembering correctly, just was why I want to do a podcast.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're that far where you're thinking about it, you've got some ideas. And again, I take notes and I research. Like when I had you on my podcast, usually I go to LinkedIn. I start clicking on links. Look at your website, see what you're doing, learn some things, and then whatever's interesting to you. That's what you got to do, is have faith that what's interesting to you is interesting to someone else.
Yeah.
At least parts of it.
Well, I got to tell you something. I just came back from, and it's going to sound like a pornographic event, but it wasn't. A thing called Podfest.
Okay.
It was a podcasting thing. It was a podcasting conference. Dude, I was just blown away. I mean, some of these people and what they're coming up with, and the power of podcasting is unbelievable. It's the new goal. I mean, it really is, in terms of how they're converting this into money, how good it can be for your business and all. It was phenomenal. But how they think about it, how they work with it, and it's funny. I know on my YouTube channel, I never put the ads on there before, and they said, "Look, you got to put the ads on." I'll probably lose my Google account for this, because they said, believe it or not, what happens is if you got ads and you're putting content up, Google will push you up. They'll start promoting. YouTube will start promoting you. So now on my YouTube channel, anyway, I'm letting them put the Google ads on there, but it's because I want to get, I want to get the video cast and out there to more of an audience.
So I think what you're saying, sort of to build on what I was saying, if you can start a podcast, learn something about it. There's actually podcasts on how to podcast. There's websites on how to podcast. So there's some things you can learn.
Yeah, and the other thing I would tell you is a heck of a lot of fun. It is really great, because when you're not doing the video part of it, I mean, you can just be really relaxed, and if you like to have a conversation, if you have a curious mind, if you can ask good questions, and you're curious, you're a natural born podcaster. That's it. And you just spend the $39 and get your gear, and you use a really cool service called Zencaster, which works well. So
it is. And I share that with other people too. It's not that expensive, and it allows 2 people to record both locally and in the cloud. So if there's any glitches in the cloud recording, that the local recording is nearly perfect, and then that's downloaded later, and they can be woven together. The other thing is you mentioned. I do 2 podcasts. The other one I actually do on contract. I actually get paid for. It's one called RESTalk for ResNet, which is the Residential Energy Services Network. It's the group that's developed a standard to energy rate buildings. I had their executive director, I think, on my 4th or 5th podcast that I started. I just went out to people I thought would attract an audience to my podcast.
Yeah.
So people I knew. So I invited them in, and what actually happened was, I had a backup system that Brian had showed me that you could use, called Ringer, that you could use through phones. And for whatever reason, his internet was not working for it. It was not obedient. We couldn't get things going. So I said, hang on a second. I'll call you. I'll send you another link. And we went through Ringer through his iPhone. Sounded pretty decent, but it was a backup. So I respected his time, got him on. And after that, his staff was considering doing new marketing things. And he said, Bill Spohn's got to do our podcast.
Nice.
Because I mean, he just pulled it out of the mud and made it work. I like what he's been doing. So they approached me in 2018 and I did half a year for him. And now I got a contract for a full year in 2019. And they give me sort of free reign.
That's awesome.
I guess, you know, they know I have enough respect for what they're doing. So they'll give me a guest and they'll give me some topics, but there's no script. There might be some talking points, but I do my research and I just sort of weave the conversation and freestyle.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That is awesome. Again, we'll put the show notes to that as well. But I think what makes you such a great podcaster and such a great measurement guy is you kind of walk the talk. So rumor has it that you are revamping your home and it's going to be like a super, I mean, like Elon Musk smart type home. Is there truth to that?
There is. So my wife and I we're designing to build a new home. It'll be the first one we've built from the ground up. We've used, we bought existing homes up to now, and we decided we're in a position now in our life and blessed with financial success of the company such that we can do this. But I'm trying to bring together and actually putting sort of pressure on myself to bring together. I want to call it the ultimate house. And I was actually looking at different styles and modes of, is it going to be rated zero net energy? Is it going to be rated Energy Star? Is it going to be rated a passive house? And we started to go down these different roads and look at different things. And I just sort of drew a stop to it and said, it's going to be a personalized performance house. It's going to work the way I want it to. So I may have coined that phrase, but personalized performance house.
I love it, man. A PPH.
Right, a PPH, not a PH. So we're doing things like it's a hybrid of one thing that's important to us is making sure that everything's installed with high quality, high quality workmanship, that kind of thing. And sometimes it's hard to find a builder that's going to have the work crew doing the right stuff at the right time. So we decided we're very lucky to find a local modular builder. So our house will actually be built as boxes in a factory.
Nice.
The builder's called EcoCraft Homes, and the factory's called Structural Modulars Incorporated. And they've been building modular homes for about 30 years. And EcoCraft's been designing and installing these for about 15 years. So we feel like they've got a track record. The owner of EcoCraft, it's a father-son operation, again, generational business like we're in. The son actually built in a residential high density area in Pittsburgh. We were there 2 days ago. He built a home from his factory to be sort of the part of it's the showroom and the office. And he walked us through and showed us all the features, and he's going to get his house tested. And so he's walking the talk too. So I wanted to do that. And now I'm throwing in sort of the ball from left field is I really want to pay really close attention to the HVAC. And especially when you build a tight house like that doesn't have a lot of air changes, which is energy efficient, you have to watch the V in HVAC, ventilation. Mm-hmm. Ventilation has to be controlled. So, but the other thing is you're trying to be really practical about it is I can't ask the factory to do things that are really weird and outlier. They may first refuse.
Right.
Or they might charge too much, or they might just not get it right. So I have to not compromise. I guess it's a compromise. It's sort of drop back into, okay, what can they do effectively within sort of in their regular operation without taking it too far afield. But I think
that's so cool, man.
Yeah. So we're building it, and it's got a horse farm next door, horse farm across the street, and a goat farm behind it.
Now, is this a house you're in right now? You're just going to do that? Okay, I got you.
Yeah, it'll bring brand new construction.
Nice.
Right now, looks like the move-in day will be before the spring of 2020.
Nice.
Like earlier, but And the HVAC too. We're gonna be doing something. It'll be a low load home.
Mm-hmm.
So something interesting there is I was actually part of an ACCA committee. Folks out there might know ACCA Manual J as what they've distilled the ASHRAE standards into an operating thing for contractors. Hank Rakowski's got all these different manuals he developed for ACCA. Manual J is not suited for low load homes. So they've actually developed a new standard that was released. ACCA released it in March, and I was honored to be part of the committee, a standard for low load homes. And the person that's doing my energy or my manual day, my load calculation, might be one of the first people using that new manual for constructing the load characteristics of this new home.
Oh, wow. Well, it sounds like you got to video this whole process. It seems like you could do that.
Yeah.
And my prediction is 2021 coming to TRuTech Tools. You can actually order your modular home from TRuTech Tools, and Bill will come out and start it up for you, right?
We'll have an affiliate system going with that.
There you go. Affiliate homes for sure. All right. So what's your thermostat of choice? I mean, do you have any particular thermostat just jazzing you these days?
I would say right now it's the Emerson Sensi.
Oh, okay.
Which is a little different, and I'm saying that with a bias because we're going to get into selling those.
Yeah.
So I need to learn about it. I need to install one myself. So I'm saying that's the thermostat of choice, sort of more like I have to than I want to. We have just right now we have a very plain thermostat, but we will, like you mentioned, like at the outset of this part of the conversation, it will be a smart home. I mean, when they walked us through the other day, they showed us this lighting controls, LED lighting controls, Deco, DEAKO.
Okay.
There's actually plug-in modules, so you can put like a dumb on-off switch, and all the switches are Wi-Fi, so you can control any of the lights from anywhere. If the router's up from around the world, you can control the lighting. And then they have these little dimmo packages. You can just pop out the controller and pop in a new switch to this. Gang box.
All right, Bill, you're going to have to come back on the show. You're going to have to keep us updated on what's going on here. And again, I think, you need to definitely do an affiliate program and sell it on the HVAC TRuTech website. So, man, listen, I can't tell you how much we've enjoyed this. This has been fantastic. We'll stay in touch. We'd love to have you come back on. And we want to get some more of the blue collar community. I want one of those shirts, man, those beer shirts. So,
that's it.
And a hat. So we're going to do that. So I'd like to meet Brian sometime. And, anything we do to help get your community involved with our community, we're all about it.
Fantastic. I'm making note of that right now. We'll make sure that happens.
All right, brother. Well, listen, one last time, let's hit the websites, TRuTechTools.com.
Right. TRUTECH tools.com.
Okay.
And then the podcast is Building HVAC Science, because HVAC is in the middle of building science, in the middle of most buildings. And then the other podcast is RESTalk for ResNet, RESTalk. Just put those in any typical podcast app and they should pop up. And
you get them on iTunes, I'm sure, and Stitcher and all that stuff too. So subscribe on iTunes.
There you go.
Bill Spohn, thanks so much. Appreciate it, brother. Okay, there you go, man. A special thanks to our guest, Bill Spohn and Josh Felperin, the man, the myth, the legend. If you haven't already entered, it's not too late. Go to the YouTube channel, go to comments. Where in the world is the man, the myth, the legend? You have 6 choices. The top 3 people that get the correct answer will win a really swell prize. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, be bold, stay in control, stay relevant, and have a great week. And Kenny will go, indeed. So that's Kenny's part. And then I'll go, indeed, Kenny smiles. That's a wrap.